welcome back to Historical Belle. This is Marie, and of course, there's Lucky. And we are so excited to welcome you back today for this next sewing vlog in the 1880s engagement dress series. This is the last sewing vlog of the series, and I am today going to show you how I made my overskirt for this bustle dress. So of course, the first thing I'm going to do is be taking some measurements. I'm going to do the circumference, the length, because I am going to be, well, of course, altering the pattern that I have. I have this pattern here. It is a truly Victorian 1878 overskirt pattern, but of course I'm making an overskirt that is a little later date, so I'm using this as kind of my base to go off of, but I am going to be making some, well, alterations. Right here I have just kind of made a mock-up of what I wanted, which was one large front piece instead of 3 separate sections, and cut that out of my nice gray wool. And now I am preparing to embroider this skirt. As you can see in my reference garment here, this is a bustle dress from the collection at the Philadelphia Museum of Art, and it is dated to 1885. If you are interested in a little bit more information, I go into slightly more detail in my video about buying fabric, but there really isn't all that much detail about this dress. There aren't even pictures of the back, so I'm kind of just winging it when it comes to that. But this is the dress that I have been using as inspiration for this garment that I'm making. I'm not copying it. I'm using it as a loose inspiration and also as a reference point of where it is historically accurate to place embroidery. So I'm about to place embroidery on the bottom front section. I went into this not exactly knowing exactly how or what style of embroidery, what pattern I was going to use. At first, I knew I wanted to use this kind of crescent shaped flower design that went with the other flower designs that I had used on the bodice. But I was trying to do like an interlocking, weaving like pattern, more like the one that is the embroidery pattern in the reference photo. And then I realized that it was going to just be really, really hard to line up, even though it looks really cool. So here I am playing around with that, just kind of doing a more interlocky, weavy, floral design, because like that looks cool. But it also kind of looks weird because I would have to, in order to do that, I was going to have to like cut off half of the design and then like put another half of design in. So I decided that I liked the bottom look. I liked that kind of bunting design almost, that kind of swish at the bottom, but it still needed a little something in the middle, so I just put a little flower there. And I think that looks good. And then I traced that around to make sure it's, you know, going to embroider where I think it's going to embroider. And then I decided to convert that and to go ahead and embroider it onto the fabric. I then removed the tearaway backing from my embroidered piece, and I was very happy with how it turned out. And now I'm going to just repeat this process 3 more times. This is definitely the most involved project I think I have done to date. The embroidery took way longer than I thought it was going to. It took about 30 minutes each time I embroidered this, which means the embroidery just on the bottom half of this skirt took about an hour and a half. And that was is really long. So you can also see I used the same tearaway backing for this because you can see the hole where I did the other one, because I'm thrifty like that and it works. I'm sure there's, it's not like best practice or whatever, but it is best thrifting practice because it works perfectly fine, my opinion. Trying to line these up though, I was proud of myself for how well I got all of these swishy floral designs to line up. You can see I left just a little bit of the tip of the end in the frame, and then I used that tip to line it up when I was tracing the design before I converted it to like actually embroider, to make sure that I was going to line up correctly and it wasn't going to be off. There was a little, I got them like slightly off at one point, but also this is going to be hanging, it's not going to be hanging straight or flat on the front, so you really can't tell. It's like off by like maybe a couple centimeters, and like I can tell, but I don't think anyone else can tell, especially when I'm wearing it and it's moving on the dress. But here it is, completely done. I love the vibrancy of the colors on this. I think it's fantastic. Now I'm going to cut out my side panels. And when I say side panels, it's really, I'm going off of my reference dress again here. And it basically has like 2 strips on either side of the main front apron, which are just covered in embroidery. And it was my intent to just cover them in embroidery and for it to be really, really big. But I began to run out of time, so it began to not be that much. And here I am cutting out the back panel of the skirt. So here I am preparing those side strips for embroidery. And as I said earlier, I wanted to do more, but then I ended up just doing a little bit. But I think the little bit works. It does. Even though this isn't exactly a less is more type of decade, I think it works. And because here I am basically just with all the floral designs. I decided that I was going to just do 1 strip of this floral design. It was going to be skinnier, which is 1, but then I decided that 1 looked too small and too thin. So then I did 2, and I had fun playing with the mirror image that you can do with this embroidery machine. So I had it like facing each other and then away from each other, which I thought was just super cool. And it reminded me of like when I was little and I would play with like these gel markers and fold the card and then open it up, and it would be cool because it imprints the mirror image of the design. That's kind of how I felt when I was playing around with this. And this also took way longer than I thought it was going to take to embroider. And I wanted something at the bottom, so I put one of those giant, more flat floral designs. And I did that mirror image of each other. Now this took 31 minutes to do. And then I'm also going to have to do that to the other side as well. And as I said in another video, the machine says it takes 31 minutes. It takes physically 31 minutes to embroider it with the needle going up and down like that. It actually takes at least twice that long because I have to thread the machine each time. And I'm doing this with 5 different colors of thread. So it takes, a little bit each time I do that. So I think I was just running out of time. And I mean, I could always probably go back and add more embroidery, but I honestly don't think I want to. I think that this is enough, actually. So I kind of let the embroidery machine I tried to get some stuff done while the embroidery machine was going, and I was going to make a beautiful lace ruffle at the bottom of the skirt, very much like the one in my reference photo. This is, I think, one of my favorite features of the dress. I had this beautiful lace trim. I gathered it, but I didn't want to gather it too much because I still wanted everyone to be able to see the pattern of the lace, and I think if I gathered it too much, that was going to get lost. But this is really my favorite part of this dress. Well, no, I don't know. I have a lot of favorite parts of the dress because I also really love all the embroidered parts, and I like the swishy parts of the front apron, but this is definitely one of my favorite parts, is this lace ruffle at the bottom. I think it just adds such a classy and elegant style to it. And also, you can tell on my photos, it's the lace ruffle hangs over my multicolored ruffle underskirt, but since it's lace, you can still see the colors under it, and I think that's just super cool. So I pinned on that lace ruffle, and then I sewed it on with my machine. I kind of did a hem at the same time as I was doing the ruffle on the bottom of the skirt. Now, for something that I've never done before, I'm going to drape. I've done skirts like this before. I've made about 2 of these kind of bustle era dresses, so it's not a time period that I have a whole lot of experience in. I'm still kind of dipping my toes into the water when it comes to bustles, but so far I'm enjoying it. But it's so much easier because the last time I made one of these, I didn't have a dress form, so I was trying to fold it on the floor, and it's so much nicer to have a dress form where I can drape on it. It was magical, honestly, this draping process, and I loved it because then I could see how the fabric was going to hang on me, basically, because the dress form is, it's like me. And it was a fantastic experience of being able to drape the front pleats like that. Here I am making sure the side pieces embroidery is even. I want to make sure that when I sew on these side strips that the embroidery is going to match and hang evenly on either side of the front apron. So I'm going to pin that down so I can cut it out. The strip is going to be considerably thinner than what is seen here. This is it's kind of a scrap that I had because I like to use every piece of fabric that I physically can. I actually got way more of this gray fabric than I needed. I thought I was going to need all of it. I got almost 10 yards. I did not need that much, which I was kind of surprised about because I thought I was going to need a lot more, but then I didn't. So I think I can make a whole nother project out of this, depending on what that project is. But in the future, we will definitely see another gray wool project. And that also made me feel better about the cost of this because basically I'm not sure how many yards I had left, but to know that the money that I spent on this was going to go towards 2 projects made me feel better about the cost. Here I am pinning those side strips onto the front apron. I wanted to make sure that my floral design was going to hang in the right place because I made it pretty much, it's way longer than it needs to be. And I also wanted to make sure that I really want the floral piece to be right where the pleats were for the top of the apron because I think that was going to create the most interest and drama, have the eye drawn all to that one spot. And that's what I did. That's what I pinned, and then I sewed it down. It was then time to attach the waistband to this overskirt. Here I'm going to clean up the top edges just a little bit because, well, I was sewing down the side strips and I needed them to, well, be shorter. I think it's easier to put on the waistband when the skirt has not been, well, sewn into a circle yet. It's still flat, one piece, and then I will sew the skirt up after the waistband goes on, and it will close at the side. And this completes my series on my 1880s engagement dress. Thank you so much for coming on this journey with me. I have some really fun projects planned for the future and I can't wait to share those with you. I was also thinking about making a montage instead of 3 separate videos, of combining all of the highlights into one video about the making of this dress. Let me know if you would be interested in that in the comments. And until next time, happy sewing!